So in this video we are going to discuss about database languages. So what is language? So I think all of you are aware about C, C++, Java, Oracle, Fortran, like this, Solidity. These are the various languages that are supported in case of software systems. But when you come to a database management system, here also we have some database languages which are required in order to run the program, execute the program or store the program, and in order to go for manipulations in the program. So these database languages are very important for any software management system in order to go for a perfect balance in the system. So now we will look into what exactly the database languages are about. The database languages are used for read, update and store data in a database. In the sense, if you want to go for reading any particular information or reading any particular instructions of a data, so it is required to use the database languages. Or else if you want to update any information, update any database or update any folder, update any document, in that case also we require some database languages in order to support that operation. And third activity, that is storing. If you want to save the data for the further purpose or future purpose, in such cases also we require some operations in database languages for storing of the information. And there are several such languages that can be used for this purpose. So in DBMS we have many languages that are used for this purpose or for these operations. So one of them is structured query language. I think all of you know SQL, which is properly known as SQL, structured query language. So in the structured query language, here we have some database languages which support some options for reading, updating and storing of the data. If you want to insert any data, if you want to delete any data, if you want to update any data, if you want to revoke any data, all such operations can be performed in this database languages. So here we are discussing about mainly three types of database languages which are with the support of structured query language we are discussing here. So in this we have DDL, data definition language. Next one is DML, data manipulation language, and the third one is DCL, data control language. So let's come to the first one, that is data definition language. So what exactly we can done in case of data definition language? So this is used for specifying the database schema. Schema is nothing but level which supports some functions in the system and which will particularly meant for some purpose of the system. So in this, the DDL, which is particularly framed for specifying and describing the database schema. It means what exactly it is performing and what it can be up to. All these can be specified by using the database definition language. So in this, here also we are taking an example of SQL to categorize the various statements under this language. So here we have taken mainly 5 options or 5 operations, you can call this as a commands also. First one is create. So if you want to create any database instance, so in such case we use the create command. Suppose if you want to modify or alter any structure of the database, so in such case we use the alter command. And third one, that is drop. Drop in the sense, if you want to ignore or if you want to keep it aside any database instance, so in such case we use the drop command. And next one is truncate. So truncate is nothing but deleting some tables or deleting some data from a database instance. So in such case we use the truncate option. Last one, rename. If you want to change the name for a particular database instance or particular data folder, in such case we use the option rename. So these are all the 5 options or commands which are used in case of commonly used one. So these 5 are the commonly used commands in data definition language. First one is create, second one alter, third one drop, fourth one truncate, and the fifth one is rename. Okay, this is the first language. And coming to the second one, data manipulation language. So you can clearly observe the name itself indicates what exactly we are dealing with. DML, manipulation. It means changing the data, altering the data, modifying the data. So this is the basic schema you can done in case of DML, data manipulation language. So that's why the DML is used for accessing and manipulating the data in a database. If you want to access any information or access any data from a database, or if you want to manipulate, manipulation is nothing but doing modifications according to the flexibility of the user. In such case also, it is better to go for DML rather than other database languages. So because this is the main purpose in case of DML, database manipulation language. So, and what are the commands that we can use in case of database manipulation language? In the sense, here we have mainly 4 commands. First one, select. So if you want to read any record from a table, if you want to read any data from a table, in such case we use the select command. And second one, insert. If you want to add or if you want to add some extra information to the record, to the table, like any other details or any other attributes or any other fields you want to add up, in such case we use the insert command. And the third one is update. So if you want to update the data that exists in the data table, in such case we use the update option. And last and important command that we can use in case of data manipulation language is delete. So if you don't want any information in a table, if you don't want any record in a table, in such case we use the delete command. So these are the main 4 options which are used in case of data manipulation language. So once I will tell you clearly, the data manipulation language is specially meant for manipulating the data in a database. If you want to access any data or if you want to manipulate or make flexible changes to the data, that is only possible by using the DML one. So that's why when you see all these commands, so the commands will also replicate the actions that are performed in case of DML, like select, insert, update and delete. So the last one, that is data control language, DCL. It is used for granting and revoking user access on a database. Suppose any confidential information is there. So in such cases, the organization doesn't want to give access to some persons and it wants to give access only to few persons or few employees in the organization. In such case, we can use this database language. Why? Because it decides to whom I can permit, to whom I cannot give a permission. So that is clear-cutly identified in case of, identified and also executed in case of DCL, data control language. So that's why the name itself indicates it grants the access and it also revokes the access. It means, so when the particular employee wants that data, so it will make some based on some criteria, it will give the permission or access. And if the employee is no longer using that data or information in a proper manner, then it identifies it. So then there is a possibility for the system to deny that access. So that are the 2 main things, granting the access and revoking the access. These are the 2 main activities that we can done through DCL, data control language. So as of I said you earlier, so here we have only 2 commands. So if you want to grant access to your user, you can go for grant command. Or if you want to deny the access, or if you want to if you doesn't want to allow that person to access the data in a sense. In such case, you can use the revoke command. Okay. In practical, data definition language, data manipulation language and data control language are not special languages, rather than they are all part of a single database language such as SQL. So you cannot say this the database language, data definition language, data manipulation language, data control language are all separate languages. I am not saying that. These are all we discussed as a part of SQL database language only, structured query language. So in this structured query language only all these types of database languages are used. So this is generally for creating awareness for the people what database languages exactly does based on the SQL. So this is a short video which is related to the database languages.